What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. I'm very happy you're here. Today we're going to go over 10 characters that I'm pretty sure y'all have either never heard of or at least don't remember. A few of them are cheats because there's a couple that are being more introduced in the mainstream now. But don't worry, I can guarantee there's at least 2 on this list that you've never heard of. And if I'm wrong, comment below telling me I am. So originally this was just going to be like a obscure character history kind of video where I go over just, their story. But the more I read and the more characters I found that were really obscure, I thought, hey, why not make it a ranking video? And if somehow this video gets any kind of views or likes or attention, and even if it doesn't, I still am going to do it because it'll be fun. But I should make a second one, and I'll keep this tier list and as like a permanent fixture, and like the other obscure characters I would go over would also go on this tier list, possibly in front of characters already on it or behind them. But yeah, so just sit back and enjoy my coverage of 10 characters you've never heard about. Also, before we start, I'm going to be switching between DC and then Marvel and just back and forth from there. Starting our list, we have the Human Flame from DC. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, but no, he's not a ripoff of the Human Torch, even though the Human Torch debuted about 20 years before he did. They're only similar in the namesake. But the Human Flame debuted in December 1959 in Detective Comics number 274. He was created by Jack Miller and Joe Certa. Being a minor villain with flame-throwing nipples on his chest, red and white color scheme that kinda goes hard, and a goofy mustache alongside a crazy smile, the Human Flame's real name is Michael Miller. He was a minor villain who became the first villain captured by Martian Manhunter. After that appearance, he wouldn't be seen for over 50 years until 2008's Justice League of America, Volume 2, where he was busted by Red Arrow and Hawkgirl while robbing a bank, insinuating that the events of Detective Comics 274 was only 8 years ago. He also appears in Final Crisis, which he sides with the Secret Society of Supervillains, where he's suited up with a new suit containing the anti-life equation, working for Darkseid, and being revenge cucked by watching his only real nemesis with any value be murdered by someone else. He also appears in Final Crisis Aftermath Run. And not only does he appear, but he's actually the running villain for all 6 issues. We follow his story and him becoming the cyborg version of himself, and this comic is extremely graphic. So I'm gonna keep it very minimal of some of the things I show, but if you were to read it, this guy would piss you off. He does so much like twisted stuff, even tying up his own wife while his daughter is there for almost no real reason, just to get his suit back. And in Final Crisis Run, the Human Flame seeks to rob a group of these guys for some weapons, who then pursue him, and he begins to violently murder every one of them, including lighting a mascot on fire who had nothing to do with it, who was just there at a birthday party. He seeks out another villain to buy weapons, and the guy beats him up hilariously. So because Human Flame has no health care, he seeks out General Immortus, whom hands Flame over to Professor Milo. Milo was apparently Dr. Gero because he fitted Flame up with cybernetic flamethrowers, but to keep him whipped, the professor ensured the flamethrowers caused pain, and learned that he had regenerative abilities, and then burned General Immortus and tortured Milo for further augments. The Human Flame later kills his former group, the one that cucked him actually. This is when he has powers on par with the Justice League. So this is like the coolest he is ever, and it took over 50 years to get to this. He breaks into Star's labs and manipulates John Stewart, the best Lantern, into dunking him into a main reactor containing atomic energy. This guy emerges as a flaming radioactive being known as the Inhuman Flame. He can now increase his mass and density, but he grew so big that he immobilized himself. So he grew so big he couldn't walk. He basically beat his own ass. Firestorm, Red Tornado, and John Stewart took him into space, dispersing his powers with a heat dispersing rod. So even though it was called Final Crisis and Final Crisis Run, where he definitely ran into a whole entire vat of acid, his final appearances were actually in DC Rebirth, where he could be seen at a hotel where the Legion of Doom were having a meeting. Also, in the same line of comics, he was absorbed by one of Black Manta's Manta Men, Devil Ray. And he could also be summoned in Scribblenauts Unmasked, if you didn't know. Along with every other character we talk about from DC in this video. They can be summoned in Scribblenauts Unmasked, which is just insane. Oh, and he also had a cameo in the Harley Quinn show in the episode Something Borrowed, Something Green. Okay, so he don't really have a long story, in my opinion. It's actually kind of short and not spectacular at all. His only adversary for the longest time was just Martian Manhunter, and everyone beat his ass, and he had no health care. So he had to go to some crazy back alley doctors. He basically went and met up with Jero in 19, became Android -16, became a radioactive giant. He got so big, he immobilized himself. He played himself. That's all I can say. He's very bad. I wouldn't even say mid. I'd say bad. I'm not a fan of his concept, really. His outfit's not it. It's kind of whack. Color scheme is pretty good. I like white and red, but if the only thing I can say is your color scheme is cool, that's whack. He just kept adding flamethrowers to his body. What did he expect to happen? Because he's not fireproof. He's just a guy with goggles. Even his mustache face was bare. If you ask me, he never even really left a henchman role. He was killed by a Black Manta henchman. He was killed by a Black Manta man. He was killed by a BMMM. That is just rip, man. Just rip. He had two sidekicks. One was named Orange, so that's pretty funny. I think it was yellow and orange. I would say the best part of his arc is when he did go giant Kimo mode, but that's not even much I can say because Martian Manhunter could just grow big, so he's other people can do that. I'd say his story's pretty mid, very mid to low. I'm gonna place him in, I want to say D tier. I'm not gonna put him in the F tier because he did get to be Martian Manhunter's first villain and make a return too, so we'll give him that. And he had a whole transformation, so he's not in the F tier. D tier it is. Next up is Typeface from Marvel. When I said cheat characters earlier, he's one of the ones I meant. He was an obscure character until Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, where he was in a cell because he was an anomaly, and he makes the go to Helvetica joke to Miles Morales. Take a good look at him because he looks like the alphabet threw up all over the 2000s because he debuted in Peter Parker's Spider-Man Volume 2, number 23 in November of 2000. His real name is Gordon Thomas, and his past is seen through a flashback of him at war where he lost his brother and his wife leaving with their kid. He moved on to work as a signsmith just for a company to be bought out and then being laid off. This pissed him off so much that he writes an R on his head to stand for retribution. And then he caused a bunch of vandalism and vigilantism that caught Spider-Man's attention, where he scuttles back home, erases the R, and puts an A for annihilation. His story originally had a noble ending because after beating Spider-Man with giant letters, he went to enact revenge on the man who fired him. But once there, he was stopped by Spider-Man again, and he witnessed Spider-Man be attacked by a spider hybrid. That's when Typeface had flashbacks to war and his brother looking at him telling him, "Just live, man." So he just lives and he beats the spider hybrid and saves Spider-Man. Typeface denounces his revenge, but his boss, his would-be victim, set off the bombs that were intended for him that Typeface had planted and completely destroyed the building, making everyone think that Typeface actually died. He went on and survived anyways. He even had a special villain named Spellcheck, who was inspired by Typeface. He would also mimic Spider-Man, calling himself your friendly neighborhood Typeface. This wasn't the end of his story either. The Civil War approached, and he sided against Iron Man's Superhuman Registration Act. He and a small cell of others tried to call Captain America's Secret Avengers. He was captured by Iron Man during an interview with Sally Floyd, where he was locked in the Negative Zone's Prison 42. He went on to befriend Speedball in that prison, and then he finally got to fight alongside Captain America, which then he was slammed into a bus by Venom, yet again believed to be dead. He did survive, even though he was carried away on a stretcher with a blanket pulled over his face. He was seen later. He also made an appearance in Across the Spider-Verse, like I mentioned earlier, and in 2020, CBR.com ranked Typeface 10th in their Marvel 10 Famous Villains from the 2000s to Bring Back list. He ranked 10th, and he looks like the 2000s. But after that, there's not much to his story. I'm pretty sure he probably just stayed a small-town vigilante, working when Spidey is busy. So Typeface is sorta what I was looking for. So he doesn't have much of a backstory, though. That's one thing that it is lacking on, is the length. But what is there is honestly pretty fun. Like, he had a sloppy life. He lost his brother at war. His wife left with his kid. That was enough to push him to write R on his head and go on a rampage, and then write an A on his head, go try to murder his ex-boss. I like where his story went from there. I really do like that he became a vigilante and started basically fighting in the same neighborhood as Spider-Man. So when Spidey's busy with the adventures or doing some crazy stuff, Typeface is protecting the small neighborhood. He took plenty of L's, but the fact that his first fight with Spider-Man, he won, that bumps him up, man. So I'm gonna put him, I think on the tier list he's gonna place C, just because this is like the most average thing we want. It's a very chill character. Like, he's got no crazy out there cosmic powers. He's got no powers at all. But what he does do is silly, unique, wacky enough to be memorable. And the Helvetica pun is still funny to this day. But yeah, I like that he is an embodiment of what the 2000s look like and how goofy it was. He's got like the Joker's nose, a long face, Giles' haircut. He tried to take Giles' outfit. You could probably put this guy in Street Fighter, and I would be convinced. So next on the list is Red Bee. And don't get me wrong, there are two Red Bees. It's the original, who we're covering, and his granddaughter, who we're not covering. The Red Bee we're focusing on is Rick Raleigh. He was a superhero with a pet bee that fought crime in Superior City. And I would never break a single crime in this city if I had to worry about this guy buzzing in with a bee. And his story is so silly. He was an assistant district attorney who would, with no powers and his trained bee, would go beat up gangsters and Nazis. Which, running theme for a few of these characters, they fight a lot of Nazis. I'm just going to quote the fandom here. His favorite bee was named Michael and lived inside a pouch on Rick's belt for use in special circumstances. I never thought I'd say that sentence in my life. In special circumstances, like, what does that imply? It's very vague, because that's implying that Michael is used for more than just crime fighting. And to add to that, this bee, Michael, can sting multiple times and is very intelligent. Thank God he's a superhero, because I can't even begin to imagine the cataclysmic terror he would inflict upon society if he was evil. And his equipment couldn't be better, honestly. He had something called an auto gainer. This desk-sized steel box had a spring-loaded piston located on the inside, and it launched him 400 feet up in the air, where he was able to catch the ledge of the 20th floor. Again, to quote the fandom, nobody else had one of these. And along with that, he had a Stinger gun, a bright red motorcycle with a sidecar, and a bright red roadster with auto driving built in. Or he had a really cool place for headquarters too, I'm not even gonna lie. He broke up a conspiracy between the mob and the police at Rivera's Big B Ranch, and then it became his HQ. He just kind of took it over. Becoming friends with Rivera and his daughter, who we'll talk about later actually. Not in the video, but in this entry. And I hate to quote the fandom again, but I swear to God, whoever wrote this had to know what they were saying. And I quote, "In his brief career in Hit Comics, which was 24 issues, the Red Bee was hit in the head hard enough to be knocked unconscious a minimum of 14 times. And his original run was unpopular. Like I just said, it only lasted 24 issues and was cancelled in 1942. And he was largely forgotten about until DC released their comics, All-Star Squadron. In this issue, we witness an All-Star die, which would be him fighting a Nazi known as Baron Blitzkrieg, who, if you look at Baron Blitzkrieg, he looks a lot like Iron Man. So, I'm gonna call this guy Eisenman. His death led to the rescue of Hourman and the others, which was a big deal. And then later the group, the Freedom Fighters, formed that had like Uncle Sam as their leader, and Red Bee was made an honorary member. Also, Red Bee was drinking buddies with Plastic Man, so that's a plus. He also appeared as a ghost in issue 37 of Starman from 1997, along with other fallen heroes. He's later really treated like a joke. Post-Crisis, he's in a limbo for cancelled characters in Animal Man, and in Bizarro World, he has to rely on his agent to try to make him relevant again. Yeah, he was revived in Dark Knight's Death Metal, where him and like any other hero that's ever died was resurrected to fight like God Kaiju Batman. And in the new Golden Age, it was revealed Red Bee had a sidekick who was erased from existence. Dr. Manhattan made alterations to the universe and it completely erased her. Her name was Ladybug. She was rescued by Stargirl and Hourman, bringing her to the present day. So just like the Human Flame, he can also be summoned in Scribblenauts DC. And he had a cameo in Teen Titans Go number 3 as a wash-up, basically a wash-up hero. Prior to his death, some of the adventures and events to happen to him were his identity being taken by a time-displaced forager, he fought a giant swordfish, he traveled in time to rescue Captain Triumph, he was abducted by an alien alliance, had a robot look-alike destroyed by a guy named Shaggy Man, and he beat a villain named Amberjack, and was eventually killed then. And again, that's not where Red Bee's story ends. He actually has recently teamed up with Peacemaker, and he's been in recent comics as an older man with a super chill attitude. So it's good to see DC using characters that were completely forgotten about or hated, because Red Bee is not popular at all. A lot of the fandom laugh at him, or maybe not the fandom because they don't even remember him, but anybody that works with DC or knows these characters, they laugh at this man. But his design's not bad. I like his design, and having a single bee, he can control multiple bees, but he has Michael, his special bee for special circumstances that are never specially told to us. Yeah, so now he's returning in comic books with Peacemaker. There's a chance he might be in season 2. That'd be pretty cool. He's got like this big bushy beard and he's got the exact same outfit from the Golden Age, which is a good thing. But he died fighting a Nazi. He died doing what he loved doing the most, fighting with a bee. But after his death, his bee Michael returned back to the ranch, never to be heard from again. And Red Bee's granddaughter later purchased the ranch and became the new Red Bee, but like in a mech suit. So it's kind of like Blue Beetle in a way. She looks a lot like Blue Beetle, but red and bee, I guess. I'm not going to cover her in this video, but maybe eventually. He's an oddball. Everything I could honestly ask for in a Golden Age hero. Like his outfit is amazing. His color scheme is silly. Everything is red. Everyone has red, by the way. Big points for the backstory. Just an assistant district attorney who fights crime with a bee. And he has a box that can launch him at least 400 feet in the air to the 20th story of any building. No one else has that. He has that. He's the only one that has that. He also appeared in a Harley Quinn comic and she pointed him out, kind of shocked that he was even there. I can't say he's exactly special outside of having a bee named Michael and being brought back in Peacemaker. He had a serious, good paying job. That's what most of these superheroes' backstories are. I would rate the Red Bee, well, I couldn't go any higher than a B. Really, I think he fits good in the B category. He had a lot of good story, and he was a whole hero with a whole sidekick that disappeared from existence because of Dr. Manhattan, and he fought Nazis. We can always salute that. He had a great look. I love that little Robin look to him, acrobatic like. I can't get over the B, Michael. Like, that is so funny. I don't know why. It's just everything he does is silly, and everything that he thinks about doing, his plans, his strategies, they're all just so goofy, and I love it. So far, we have the Human Flame in the D tier for below average. We have Typeface in the C tier for average, and then we got my boy Red Bee in the B tier for slightly above average. That's pretty good. It's a good layout. It's a good like structure for the other 7, like in where they would fall. Hello? Oh, who's that? Is it a phone? Is it a ranger? Neither. It's a phone repairman. Meet A.G. Bell. He's also known as Phone Ranger. He first appeared in Marvel Age Annual number 1 in 1985. He discovered a phone with aliens trapped inside, and he took it home and made a duplicate basically, and was able to hack the interface of any telecoms network. Not much is known about his past aside from being a phone repairman, and he had a house and a workshop, so he must have had a pretty good life. Don't know why he decided to reverse engineer a phone with aliens trapped in it. But on one of his first adventures, he was nearly killed by the Scourge of the Underworld, but the foam gear around his body saved his life. He was later arrested by Iron Man and granted amnesty when Captain America surrendered in the Civil War. His story pretty much ends there. He was a guest in Ziggy Pie's Silly Seal comics once, I guess. Like, he didn't really have much at all. I chose him because Phone Ranger sounds silly, and when I looked him up, he had a great costume. Like, well, I wouldn't say I really liked it, but it was enough for me to just want to put him in this list. But I kind of hate him. like when he went on his first adventure and was nearly shot in the head by Scourge of the Underworld, he was getting his ass beat by the Unicorn. But I really can't sleep on the outfit, man. Like, it's so fun. It's just so wild to think that this could have been in a movie one day if he was popular. What kills me is he has no powers or no nothing. Like, being able to hack into the telecommunication systems is such a good setup for a support character or a guy in a chair character. He could still wear his phone, but he went out on the lines to fight. He don't have any gadgets aside from his phones. He don't have any sidekicks. But oh well. He's honestly going to the F tier. Like, your outfit is so funny, but that's like the only thing about you that's anything at all. And he's never talked about or used much at all. If we were to compare him to Red B, a character that actually is made fun of, at least Red B has enough recognition to be made fun of. Where Phone Ranger has none. He has no credibility, he has no credit, has no phones to bell on. So maybe in a reboot one day we can see him be a character and then get killed off or something. Because that's probably what would happen. So this cell phony is going to the bottom. So we will pick up from here next time. Here's the finished art if you want to see it. I made the animations and the collages you see here, and I had a lot of fun researching the comic books and looking into a bunch of characters that I don't even know. While I'm working on the next video, leave some characters you'd like to see make an appearance on this tier list. I want to hear the most obscure, unknown, untalked about characters, and they don't have to be Marvel or DC. They can be anything, really. Thank you again, and the references will be after this outro. I hope to see you next time. Love, your friendly neighborhood pug.